Go ahead, give us the Shalom, Yasharala, Shalom, Israel, the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge started on 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Hunter. Preaching on Sir 5000 for Sarbakai. It's a Thursday night scripture breakdown for ISUPK Northern California, ISUPK Sacramento. Tap in with our pages on YouTube, Facebook, all platforms of social media, TikTok, Instagram, etc. Let's go ahead and get straight into tonight's topic: pro-Israel or pro-Palestine. That's that's the word of the day all across the world. We're seeing different protests happening. Let's see, we'll show a couple of footage here. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat. I'll share a video real quick. What's going on in the land of Israel? It's made global news, international news. It's something that is no shocker to the priests and prophets of the Lord here, and I should be getting my precept for that too. Let's go ahead and get this first clip.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Saturday's protest inside Harvard Yard attracted over 250 supporters of Palestine, and this group's demand to stop Israel's displacement of Palestinians in Gaza.
Israel has ordered over 1 million Palestinians to flee their homes or be killed. This is not self-defense.
Tens of thousands of Palestinians are fleeing Gaza. As it's expected, Israeli forces are planning to come in and root out Hamas fighters and remove the group's infrastructure throughout Gaza. As demonstrations on both sides continue, a family from Medway continues to try to get out of Gaza.
No one has crossed over. There has been no information.
We spoke by phone with Aboud Okal. He is the Medway man who traveled with his wife and young son to visit her Palestinian parents in Gaza. They've been trying to get out since last weekend and have made it to the Egyptian border.
We didn't recover from the quite risky and extremely traumatizing trip that we had to make yesterday, leaving my wife's parents' house in northern Gaza Strip.
But that's where they are now, stuck with tens of thousands of others trying to flee Gaza. This was our last call with Aboud late Saturday.
The sun is setting very soon, and this turns into a very dangerous.
I know Jewish students feel unsafe, and they feel uncomfortable, and they feel betrayed.
Across the hallowed campus of Harvard University, tension, division, and frustration.
It feels that if you say something against Israel now, it's just you're a baby killer.
After a ghastly terrorist attack on Israel that triggered a war with Hamas this week, the reverberations of the crisis are being felt and heard loudly back on American soil. Police departments from coast to coast are on heightened alert after a former Hamas chief reportedly calling for a day of rage on Friday. The NYPD ramping up security, canceling vacations, and putting all officers on duty. And Columbia University closing their campus to the public today ahead of a planned event, just one day after police said an Israeli was beaten outside of the library.
We know that incidents in the Middle East, violence, tends to spark acts of hate here at home. We've seen a 400+% increase in incidents this week versus this week last year.
Some say Harvard University becoming a microcosm this week for the fears and pain unleashed across the country. On Saturday, more than 30 student groups on campus sparked outrage after releasing a letter that said the Israeli regime is, quote, entirely responsible for all unfolding violence. The statement went on to say that the conflict did not occur in a vacuum, blaming the conditions Palestinians have been forced to live in for decades.
So right here, we're starting to see different sides of the story. People in Harvard, 30 different organizations at Harvard came out and wrote a letter saying that the thing that happened in Israel just didn't happen in a vacuum. It just didn't happen out of nowhere, sparked up for no reason. You just wake up one morning and these crazy Palestinians want to go out and kill Israelis. No, that's not what happened. There's a history of them oppressing the Palestinians for 75 years, you know. That's really what's been going on. And they've been locked in this open air prison, as they call it, being in the Gaza Strip, seeing that the borders are not open. They're not allowed to leave to Egypt. They're not allowed to leave to the north, to Israel, or to the west. I don't know, to the east of Israel or to the west over the land. They can't leave it over the air. They're locked in this place. So it's basically being in prison for almost the past 20 years, 17 years or so, right? So this is a very key piece to the puzzle of seeing the downfall of Babylon, of this place that we live in, the hill that we live in. And it's glorious in my sight, and it's glorious in the sight of the Lord, and it's very biblical. I'm going to go to the first precept, Mark chapter 3 and verse 25. Let's go ahead. Let's see, we'll go up a couple verses. Let's see. Let's start off at verse 22. The book of Mark, chapter 3, verse 22. And the scribes which came down from Jerusalem said, He hath Beelzebub, and by the prince of the devils casteth he out devils. So they're talking about Christ. They're talking about Yahushua, and they're saying the way that Christ has this power to cast out devils is because he's following Satan and he worships Satan. This is where he's gaining his power from. Verse 23, and he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, How can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. So he's cutting them. He's saying, if I work for Satan, why would I end and destroy the things that Satan is doing? And this is a very heavy precept to me because, let's see if I can make this bigger real quick. Hold on. This way. All right. This is a very big precept, important precept, because it points out what Christianity is today and how important Christianity is to Satan and to our oppressor. Because in order for you to be a Christian, there is a key element that you are not allowed to follow of the Bible. Christ said, you will know them by their fruits. You will know who my followers are, who are the people that teach what I teach, by their fruits, by the things that they produce. You know a tree by its fruit. You know an apple tree by the apples that grow off of the tree. You know an orange tree, avocado tree, etc., by the fruit that grows off of it. You will know who the followers of Christ are by the people, the quality of people they produce, the nation of people who they produce, who they work with. And so the key element, I'll just go ahead and explain. The key element that the Christian church is not allowed to follow in the Bible is the law, statutes, and commandments. The laws, statutes, and commandments. They're not allowed to teach the laws, because if they were teaching the laws and our people began to follow the laws, then they would be casting out Satan. But a house that's divided cannot stand, and Satan cannot cast out Satan. I'm going to read that part again. And he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, How can Satan cast out Satan? How can you work for the oppressor and want to benefit your oppressor and at the same time benefit the oppressed? Those two things cannot go together. This is why we know people that try to go into the system, they say we're going to work with the system and we're going to fix the system from the inside. That plan and plot will never work, because you're going to be working with a system that is set inside of the system all of the traps to destroy your people. So there is no rearranging the system or redirecting the system. It's systemic. It's a system. The only thing you can do is destroy that system and rebuild a new system. And this system that we're rebuilding here with the ISUPK is the kingdom of heaven. is a kingdom that's ruled by the Most High God and his son, Yahushua Mashiach. So, Salaki, Christianity can never teach you to follow the laws, because if they got you to stop selling drugs, you can go to the Christian church and still be a drug dealer. You can go to the Christian church and still be a drug addict, a whore, etc. Whatever vice you have in the world, you can continue and do that in the church. And that is what the oppressor wants. But once you begin to start to cast out demons and heal people from the things that they're suffering from, then you're going against the oppressor, and you are now become an enemy of the oppressor. And that's who Christ was. And that's why they were coming to him trying to say that he was evil, when in reality they were the evil ones. But the key reason I pulled this precept right here is verse 25. Matthew chapter 3, verse 25. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. So this is what we're seeing right here in America right now. We're seeing these tensions rise. Go ahead and play a little bit more of this clip, and then we'll get to some more precepts.
University is ramping up security, including here outside of Harvard Hillel, which is the center of Jewish life on campus. It's been really hard to get people to speak on camera because they tell me they just don't feel safe speaking out. What was your reaction when you first saw it?
I was appalled when I saw that letter. You know, when when civilians are being murdered and women are being raped and kids and Holocaust survivors are being kidnapped and held hostage, the last thing you do, the absolute last thing you do, is you blame the victim.
Jacob Miller is the president of...
So these people right here are so evil, right? Because you want to know how to understand the oppressor, just reverse everything he's saying. He's saying the worst thing you can do when women are getting raped, when women are getting murdered, elderly women are getting kidnapped, kids are getting unalived, Salaki, the worst thing you can do is blame the victim. But that's exactly what Israel is doing with the Palestinians. They're telling the Palestinians are terrorists. They're calling them terrorists. They're calling them savages, barbarians. I've seen all these labels been put on the Palestinians. But what they're doing in reality is blaming the victim. The Palestinians are victims of the policies, the government, and the, overall oppression of the Israelis over them. And so they're reacting in this way, but they are being blamed as being the problem. And this is an age-old trick that the U.S. has done against Black people and Latino people here in America. We start rioting, we start, going into stores, setting stores on fire, cars on fire, breaking windows after George Floyd gets killed. And they go on the news and call us savages, thugs, the lowest of the low of society. But they act like it was created in a vacuum. It didn't just happen out of nowhere. They said the amount of, what was it? Police stops. Let me see. In Ferguson was one of the big riots that popped off after who got killed? What was Ferguson about? Ferguson was about Michael Brown. Let me see if I can get some. Let's see. Let's see if we get anything. For Michael. So, okay. All right, let's see. Let's see if this article come up. Sometimes New York Times doesn't want to show you the articles. Yeah, they'll shoot. Right. Yeah, this was also percentage. Okay, let's see. All right, let me go to something else right here. This is doing too much. So let's see if I get one more article. Let me see if it goes. Michael Brown happened, I think it was at 2015. Let's see. Ferguson, Missouri. This is the Intelligencer, NewYorkMag.com. Ferguson, Missouri was the site of riots 5 years ago after police officer Darren Wilson killed Michael Brown, an unarmed black teenager, sparked ostensibly by one fatal abuse of power. Started recording. Some things have changed in the time since. The Ferguson Police Department, then almost entirely white, has quintupled its number of black officers and is now headed by a black chief. A state bill passed in 2015 capped the revenue percentage that municipalities are allowed to draw from force. But one problem has proved resilient: racial disparities in traffic stops. The Times' John Elligan reports that black motorists in Missouri were even more likely to be pulled over by police in 2018 relative to the white counterparts than they were in 2013. The gap was wider in Ferguson. Despite the aim of recent reforms in the arena, the outcome in practice has been a white populace reaping the benefit of laws meant to disincentivize racist traffic stops revenue, while black people continue to suffer. Let's see. Okay, let's see if we can get some numbers right here. Alignment between expectation and reality expressed by the number 1.0. Statewide, black motorists were pulled over at a disparity of 1.65 times in 2018, meaning higher than they expected, while white motorists were pulled over at a value of 0.9% or lower than expected, which although fails in comparison to that in Ferguson, 1.42 for black motorists versus 0.27 for white motorists, for a difference of 1.15. So there's numerous studies though on that. I don't have the exact numbers right now, but initially, black people were getting oppressed in Ferguson, Missouri. The police out there was all white police force, all Caucasian police force that was going around pulling over black people for nothing all the time. You have a broken tail light, they're pulling you out the car, they're searching the car, they're taking you to jail, they beating you upside the head. All these things were happening in Ferguson. Then they killed Michael Brown with his hands up, and the city erupts into violence, into protests, and all these things. In the news, they first hear about it. They hear about Ferguson, they go there and they show, all you see is a bunch of crazy black people that are wild and they want to destroy the city. But it really was a response to years and years of oppression. It's the exact same thing you see in Palestine. But they try to blame the victim and say that the victims are the reason why the Israelis have to come and bomb them. So you see this fake Jewish person right here.
Harvard Hillel. He says the lack of support from some of his fellow students and what some saw as the school's initial tepid response has been hurtful.
Jews are aching. I know Jewish students feel unsafe and they feel uncomfortable and they feel betrayed. And I honestly don't know. Like, how are we going to heal as a campus? How are we going to move on?
The Palestinian Solidarity Committee later put out a statement saying, in part, PSC staunchly opposes all violence against all innocent life and laments all human suffering. Palestinian students I spoke with said they are scared to speak up on campus or even mourn their lost loved ones, which is why they aren't showing their faces.
I can't be alone because I feel like I'm dying. Imagine feeling like the place that you're from is going to get wiped off the map.
I think that if I show my face or say something against Israel is at this time, the attacks will be overwhelming.
How are your family members doing?
I just got a message from my grandmother just letting me know that 10 members of our family had been killed.
Some students say they were completely blindsided when their organization signed the letter.
I do know that there's a lot of people who didn't really know about it, didn't read it, and then now they're kind of caught in the middle.
Harvard's leadership came under fire for not immediately issuing a response to the letter and then releasing a statement some say was not strong enough. A day later, Harvard President Claudine Gay ultimately writing, "I condemn the terrorist atrocities perpetrated by Hamas," distancing the university from the student signatories.
So something that's caused a
So
lot of
even right here, so all this happened, and we'll get rid of all this. We could put this off, different stuff. But the people that were out there writing these letters, signing these letters, they end up doxing them. That means they show the documents of who these people are, exposing it to the world. They made a whole billboard and put it on a truck and drove it through Harvard campus and surrounding areas. Certain rich people went and told people on Wall Street that they should never hire these kids that are pro-Palestine and they should never be able to get a job, etc. Basically silencing them, calling them anti-Semitic, the same old things. Because the people in Israel today, the Israelis, are the only people on earth that no one can criticize. That no one can say anything about them. If you have any criticism against them, you're anti-Semitic. I mean, that would just be so glorious if we had that as Black people, because, and I see now they're trying to do both sides. They're trying to come up with this word, Islamophobia. So they want to say, okay, you're Islamophobic if you say something against the Muslims. This is the reason why you're doing this. And if you're going against them, you're anti-Semitic. And they're playing these games back and forth. But the reality of the situation is, one side, the Israelis are genuinely oppressing these Palestinians, and these Palestinians are trying to fight back. And if anybody can be identified in similar fashion with the Palestinians, it will be us. We can understand what they're going through because we've been dealing with this for 400 years, right? But should we be pro-Israel or pro-Palestine? That's the question of the day, because everyone is forced to pick a side. But here in ISUPK, we don't pick a side that's not pro-Yasser. And I say that for a very reason. You may call it Israel, but we're going to say Yasser, so you know we're not talking about these people that live in the land today, these Israelis, these people that are Jewish. We're talking about the Israelites. We're pro-Israelite. That's who we are. We're pro the Most High God, right? And this is, let's see. Let's go to this precept right here. I think it's let me get Leviticus 20 and 26. Leviticus 20 and 26. And it reads, "And ye shall be holy unto me, for I am the Lord. For I, the Lord, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine." The Lord has severed us. He's cut us off. It's a violent removal to sever something. You sever someone's limb, it's not something that's pretty. It's not cute. It's something that's violently separated from something, to sever something. And the Lord is saying he severed the children of Israel from the other nations, from the other people. So we can't join in and be pro-Palestine if we're going to follow what the Lord wants, because he separated us from the Palestinians. Can't be pro-Israel because the Lord separated us from these Israelis who are really Ashkenazis, who are really Germans, who are really Swedish, Polish, all the other European nations. This is what they are. The Lord severed us from them. This is a very important thing that we need to honor and continue to this day to remember, right? Let's go to some more precepts. So we get into some World War precepts to see what's going to come in these days. The Lord does not want us to unite with these people. Matter of fact, let's get that as well. Every time we try to unite with other nations, we end up getting destroyed. So after the flood, we'll go to Genesis chapter 10, verse 32. These are the families of the sons of Noah after their generations in their nations. And by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. So before that, it gives all the different listings of all the different names and nations that come from Noah's three sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Chapter 11, verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Why were they of one language and one speech? Prior to this, you had all these different nations, these different heathen groups who Adam had went amongst the trees. But now everyone came from Adam, so they all spoke one language. And as the population began to grow and these different groups and nations were divided, they still spoke one language. Verse 2, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. And this is no coincidence that today, what is your oppressor trying to do concerning language? He's trying to make the English language the universal language of every nation across the earth, so that scientists and doctors from China can come to America and assist in this mission. That we can go over to Taiwan and India and do business and deal with them and build up this nation to be something that is great and glorious in their eyes, right? The Lord did not like this. The Lord was not glad in seeing this. Verse 7, go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. So the Lord never wanted us to be united with all these different nations as one, because he knew nothing but evil would come out of that. The great power that would come from everyone being united would not be great. It would be a great evil. And this is why you're seeing the last days. You're seeing everyone being able to come together through the internet and unite during this, and you have more communication across borders, etc. But you're only going to see more and more destruction. You're only going to see more and more death, because as these nations gather together amongst themselves, they're going to eventually fight each other, and you're going to have to pick a side if you're part of these nations, and you're either going to be on this side of the world war or you're going to be on that side of the world war. And you see everyone getting lined up: China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, or South Africa, all the India, all of them are siding up and coming together to go against America, the West, and your European nations, right? Let's go to, let's see, Isaiah chapter 13, verse 4. And it reads, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, A tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. This is what's going to happen. Shalom, sis. Shalom. This is what's going to happen with thermonuclear warfare. This is what's describing the sun being blotted out. The stars won't shine. These things I described last week with the clip from the video talking about nuclear war simulation and what it will be like in the smoke blotting out the sun. Right? Verse 11, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Like in these times that the Lord is coming to destroy this place, he's going to build up his people. Them coming down, them being destroyed, is our opportunity to get free, our opportunity to rise up. That is a glorious thing. No, you cannot have two people at the top. You either have somebody at the top and everyone else at the bottom. You can't have two people at the top. And so if these people start to fall, that means we're going to start to rise up. So this nation being divided and these people picking pro-Palestine and other people picking pro-Israel is showing that this nation is not on one accord. When 9/11 happened, more people were on one accord with America. Everyone had their flags. Everyone was ready to go to war in Iraq, Afghanistan. Anybody that was wearing a turban or riding a camel, they were ready to go to war with and bomb. Anybody that had more than two syllables in their name, they were ready to go and bomb the hell out of them. But now people are starting to see through the BS, and they don't believe mainstream media. Today's people would rather believe somebody on TikTok, a TikTok reporter, than they would someone on CNN. And that's a glorious thing, because you shouldn't believe the people on CNN because they work for Satan. But you got one side of Satan, they're trying to tell you, no, we need to be pro-Palestine, because if we're not pro-Palestine, then we're going to look like the bad guys, and this is going to expose America for who it really is. And we need to, in order to maintain our slaves, we need to make them think that we care about them. And another side is saying, no, we need to go harder on our slaves. We need to push them down further. We need to destroy the Palestinians and show a fierce front so that no one else will mess with America. No one else will mess with Israel. And so the more and more they divide, the more and more civil war is going to come about. And that's going to weaken America even more, because if they have to fight a war on the home front and out amongst these other nations, it's a wrap, right? Let's see what else we got. Verse 13. Therefore, Isaiah chapter 13, verse 13. Therefore, I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as a chase road, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone into his own land. Like the chase road, the chase deer that's running away from something. He's going to run back to his family. He's going to run to safety. That's what people are going to do. These people who are Palestinian here, Arab, all the Arabs are coming together, they're uniting, because they're running back to their people. They're running back to their own nation. the people that have been Israelis that try to blend in, act like they're this or that, have friends with this and work in the music industry, you're going to start to see all of them go back and support their people, their culture first. All right, so lock in 1 second. All right, let's go some more precepts. Verse 15, everyone that is found shall be crushed through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. This is what we hear. Everybody is on the news talking about how can they be over there harming children in Palestine? How can they be over there harming children in Israel? Because these people are falling in right into what the Lord says is going to happen. The people in Israel are losing their lives, and children and women getting ravished. All these things are happening because of the evil they've done against the children of Israel. Let's see. Verse 19. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation, neither shall the Arabian pinch tit there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. That's heavy, because the Lord is going to clear the land of Israel. He's going to make it desolate. It's going to be empty. And neither shall the Arabian pitch tit there, because the Arabians go from here to here to there to there. That's how they ended up in our land. They're always moving, they're always on the go. And nomadic people. How did they get the land? We left Israel in 70 AD because the Romans came and destroyed Jerusalem, put many of us to slaughter, sold other ones into slavery, and everyone else that was able to flee and go into Africa. The Arabs running around, they walking through the homeland. It's like some homeless people see you get raided by the police and get taken out the house, and they see nobody staying there. They go and set up shop. They go ahead and squat. And that's what they've been doing. They've been squatting on our land. And now they think that it's theirs, that it belongs to them. Blah. They won't be able to stay on our land anymore either. Thus saith the Lord. Verse 21. The wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of those with creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. Verse 22. And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant houses. And her time is near to come. Her days shall not be prolonged. It's crazy. I go straight into chapter 13, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the stranger shall be joyed with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Like, why is the Lord having to set Israel in his own land? Because Israel has been removed from his own land. Where do the people in Israel today fulfill these prophecies? It's because they're in the land, they're not doing what this book is saying. Let's keep going. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. How are these people who are known for owning banks, institutions, etc., ruling over their oppressors when they're the ones doing all the oppressing? Doesn't make sense. Right? So like quick break real quick. If you have any questions, go ahead, type them in the chat. 1 second, give me a second. Bear with me. So like, let's go some more precepts. Go to 2 Ezra chapter 13, verse 1. Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 1. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the ways thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth filleth when it filleth the fire. So this is talking about Christ returning, talking about how in the last days, the things that are going to be taught, the things that are going to be spoken of, is what's going to destroy these heathen nations, because this is how they destroy us. The lies and propaganda is how they destroy our people, to believe and become suckers to follow what they want us to follow. Verse 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there are gathered verse 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. But I would have seen the regional place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. This is the speaking of the truth, which is so dangerous, because these people speak lies. That's their natural character. And it's so powerful when you can. It's one thing to speak a lie, it's another thing to speak a lie and convince people to believe it. You have that skill, you've taken your scamming to a whole nother level. Like people in Africa call old women on their phone all day, every day, and they scam an amount of money. But they're getting better at these lies to tell these people. They first started off with simple lies like, I'm a prince and I need to cash this check, but in order for me to cash it, I need some money. So if you send me, $1,000, I'm gonna be able to cash this check, and I'll send you $10,000 tomorrow. People believe those stupid lies, but then the word got out about these type of scams. So they have to upgrade and keep constantly changing and growing and increasing their ability to tell excellent lies. I even almost dealt with a situation like this myself. I was out here looking for a place to stay, looking for apartments with my rib. We found something that said, man, 3-bedroom house, $1,100, $1,200 a month. We're like, man, this can't be real. It's too good to be true. Called or text the people. They say, all right, you can come down, view the house. And so we get there. The person says, oh, an emergency happened. My wife has cancer. I have to go to the hospital. I have to visit her. But you guys can still go in and move in we need to sell this place because we're moving, or she has to deal with this cancer treatment out of state. So if you can just go ahead and put down a deposit right now, we'll send you the code to get the key. Open the door, and you guys can start moving in. I'm like, man, this sounds too good to be true. I told my rib, go ahead and call Mr. Korinsky, whatever his name is. And we call, and I'm listening. I'm like, this person sounds like a Nigerian. Sounds like a filthy, stinking Nigerian. He's talking about, oh yeah, me and my wife. Oh, she has gone to the hospital. So all you have to do is grab the key. I'm looking at him like, this does not sound like Mr. Krasinski, some Edomite, German or Italian name. Sounds like Mbutu from the Scammon tribe. So I'm like, he's putting too much pressure. All you have to do is just go and send this money to me right now. You guys can it's a scam. But they keep increasing the scams and doing things to make themselves easier to believe, or something you've never heard of. Everyone's heard of the scam about a Nigerian prince. So once the word got out, it's cool. This new lie, they tell you can come rent a house. All you have to do, that one, no one's heard of that. And they're getting suckers out there all the time. But that's how America was founded on telling these lies. And the better that they get at telling these lies, the better they can destroy you and uplift their nation of people. But the same way they destroy us with lies, we destroy them by telling the truth. That's our power. That's why the ISUBK is the home of the truth. Because telling the truth is it has the ability to not only make you free, it has the ability to destroy your enemies at the same time. Let's keep going. Verse 12. We'll start at 11. The book of 2 Ezra, chapter 13, verse 11. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Afterward, I saw the same man come down from the mountain and call unto him another piece of the multitude. So this man, this figure of Christ, the vision that he's seen is that all of these things will be sent to destroy these heathens. But as he's leaving, he's seeing another figure come down, the same man come down from the mountain and call unto him another piece of the multitude, seeing another group of people. And there came much people unto him, where some were glad, some were sorry, some of them were bound, but being tied up, and some brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick with great fear, and I waited. And I said, Thou hast showed thy servant these wonders from the beginning, and hast counted me worthy that thou shouldst receive my prayer. Show me now yet the interpretation of this dream. For as I conceive in my understanding, woe unto them that shall be left in those days, and much more woe to them that are not left behind. For they that were not left were in heaviness. Now understand I the things that are laid up in the latter days, what shall happen unto them, and to those that are left behind. So again, seeing all the horrible things going to happen. Goes on down. Let's keep going. We'll go to verse 20. Verse 19. There are they come into great peril and many necessities, like are these dreams declare. Yet is it easier for him that is in danger to come into these things than to pass away as a cloud out of the world and not to see the things that happen in the last days? And he answered unto me and said, the interpretation of the vision shall I show thee, and I will open unto thee the things that thou hast apart, whereas thou hast spoken of them that are left behind. This is the interpretation. He that shall endure the peril in that time hath kept himself. They that be fallen to danger are such as have works and faith for the Almighty. Verse 24. Know this therefore, that they which be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead. This is the meaning of the vision, whereas thou sawest a man coming up from the midst of the sea. Right? What is going on? But verse. So these things, you go through all these chapters, you'll see it breaks down further and further into what we're dealing with right now. The international stage. Yeah, this person, man, you know, the block of you in the chat pretty soon. We're gonna block you pretty soon. Matter of fact, you're not gonna keep coming to class with all this nonsense and garbage. Talking about the Phoenicians. This is the region of the Phoenicians. YouTube won't let you know that. 1968, whoever you are, type your nationality in the chat. Are you Black, Hispanic, Native American, Indian? This is gonna be the last time you be able to come interrupt this class. You got 2 minutes to go ahead and answer. If not, you getting knocked off out of this class, right? What's my next piece of it to go to? Go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 1. The last precept. Actually, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. Like, we don't need to know about the times and the seasons because we can see it. You in the truth, you see the times and the seasons that we're in. And I pray you understand that it's not going backwards, not going to get better, return to some old, perfect America. America is only going to get worse and worse and worse. We don't have to explain that to people in the truth. They understand that. Verse 2. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. Drop that. Let's go to 2 Peter. We're going to hold that. We ain't going to drop it. Hold it. Come back to Peter chapter 2 and verse 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Okay. But the heavens and earth which are now by the same word are kept in store, reserved to fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to us, not willing that any should perish, that all should come to repentance. This is how the Lord is going to come, right? He doesn't want everyone to be destroyed. This is him having mercy, but doesn't mean he's not going to come and destroy. Verse 10, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the whole and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. Let's go back to 2 Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians 5 and 2. For yourselves know perfectly, for the day of the Lord shall come as a thief in the night. That's when a thief comes to rob. Not when you up, when you're eating dinner, when you're doing this, watching the football game, watching the Warriors game. The thief wants to come when you're in the height of your sleep, when you're the most knocked out, when you're the most tired. That's how the thief is. But that's how the Lord is going to be. He's going to come like a thief in the night to you when you're not prepared. Verse 5, ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. These are the children that know what's going on, that are woke up, right? We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. Like, let us don't be asleep. Let's be awoke to the reality of what's going on, staying current with the news, staying current with what's going on in school, putting your work in, putting your bid in, staying locked in, getting more prepared for World War III. That's what we need to do. All right. But it's going to be a little bit short class for tonight. It's a lot of some precepts, and this person, they didn't want to answer in the chat. But go ahead. Man, this you block all their comments, man. You're not welcome here anymore. You want to say who you are, you want to keep coming here trolling every week? Nah, we good. We don't got time for that. Serious business. Lord says he's going to send many fishers, and then one day he's going to send for hundreds. We don't got time to keep fishing around and playing games and dilly-dallying with heathens or homosexuals or IUIC members that want to come on our post and waste our goddamn time, man, on our feet, man. If you're not coming in to say something serious, something genuine, speak who you are, speak what you're really about. If you're pro ISUPK, then say it in the chat. If you're against us, then say it in the chat, man, so we can find out where to draw the line and see who is who. But we're definitely not here to play games. It's not a joke. This is our lives that is at stake. It's our lives that are at hand, our families' lives that are at hand. And so we all need to get more serious, get more prepared, more professional with what we're doing, and push this truth and see that this is a sign from the Lord. This is the Lord saying he sees what we're doing. We're doing these works, giving up our time and sacrifice. And now you're seeing destruction come upon the people that have been oppressing you for 900 to 400 years, man. Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shai, for the Most High God, Yahweh Shai, his son, for coming in and allowing destruction to come to these goddamn heathens who deserve everything that they have until they get out of our land and get into chains like they're supposed to. So with that, I'm in the class. Shalom Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai. That's this piece.